Now, a decent close to the JSE today, just over a third of a percent in the green. It was buoyed there by industrial stocks, which were also positive. You'll see in a moment that the price of Brent crude continues to drop. Unfortunately, though, the rand has continued to weaken against the US dollar. We'll unpack those numbers with Joseph Busha, who's standing by in a moment. Let's unpack those numbers now. We've got Joseph Busha, who's the Group CEO at JM Busha Investment Group. Thank you for your time this evening, Mr. Busha. Let's start with those overall markets. I mean, it was quite a volatile week for the JSE and global markets last week after the United States announced, well, the Federal Reserve announcing rather that interest rates would continue to hike. A little bit of a positive start to the week. And what do you think this can be attributed to?
Well, it's a third percent up today, as you said, Ms. Madzena. There certainly last week, I think it was a seesaw, and we saw that your foreign investors were net sellers of SA stocks, 1 billion in equities and about 6.5 billion in bonds. Certainly, I think it's just really just the flight. I think as America increases its rates, their investments, securities start looking attractive, and hence you saw basically them being net sellers of our securities here. The rand did not help. 18 to the dollar, the weakest I think since last year. So that's not certainly helping, I think, in terms of just bringing confidence to our markets and putting pressures on our securities, let alone, I think, Eskom, which is really threatening in terms of our GDP numbers coming at 1.9, which is the expectation by our central bank after their meeting last week.
Yeah, and the rand is quite an important one, Mr. Busha, because I wanted to ask, you've just described how weak it's become against the US dollar, and there are a number of headwinds that have hit the rand from all sides, mainly the strength of the dollar, and I suppose to some degree the load shedding that we've seen. But one wonders, Mr. Busha, is there an upside to the weakness? Say, for example, government ramping up marketing around tourism so we can get those dollars and pounds and euros in while the rand is at this level?
Well, South Africa is a very attractive market. I think we're very strong in terms of all sectors of tourism, leisure tourism, sport tourism. The Springbok obviously doing well. I mean, just run up to the New Zealanders. Certainly, I think there's a lot they can do in terms of just promoting the country. I think with COVID restrictions also out, we'll be able to see foreign tourists into our corridor resorts and certainly game parks as well. So that will certainly help in terms of that. But the elephant in the room is the electricity. I think that needs to be sorted out so that, I listen to your clip there in terms of small businesses and also in terms of just people being able to move and not losing many hours due to the blackout. But certainly, I think that will help in terms of just bringing in foreign currency and also the decrease in petrol that happened and also crude oil remaining below 91 could help. But the weaker rand might just basically negate that.
So it's a good thing you bring up to the price of crude oil, Mr. Busha, because I'm wondering, with the price of oil falling as much as it has, below $90 a barrel, are we to benefit at all when the price of petrol or the decrease or increase is announced in a few days, just based on the movements we've seen with the rand?
Well, the central bank that Kenya basically looks at the average about 91, which is not very far from where we are. And I think if they pencil in that in terms of their scenarios, we might get a reprieve in that. As long as the rand does not worsen from where it is, certainly I think we should be able to benefit. Hopefully, by the end of the year, we'll be able to see petrol decrease, which will be a very early gift, I think, to all of us here, given that we're going into the festive season.
Very interesting insights as always, Mr. Bush. I wanted us to touch on Tiger Brands, but we'll do so at another stage. They're saying that the cost of recalling the talcum powder that they've had to do will cost them about 25 million rand. It's small in the grander scheme of things, but it's still a cost to the company and the people that bought that product. Thank you very much, Mr. Busha, for your time. That is Joseph Busha, CEO of JM Busha Investment Group.